Most of you have heard of the Underground Railroad. Have you ever heard of the Southern Underground Railroad? Probably not. Y'all watch this one, you might like it. For those of you that don't know, when the Spanish Europeans colonized, they started in Dominican Republic. The oldest city in the Americas is in the Dominican Republic. It's Santo Domingo, I believe is how you pronounce it. But when they came in, they brought a lot of slaves with them. And so realize that from the 1500s until the 1800s, right, for over 300 years, the Spanish people colonized South America using slave labor. And the slave population down there got to be huge, absolutely huge. And what happened was the people of Mexico, they got their fill of slavery. When Mexico declared its independence, they abolished slavery in Mexico in 1839, I believe it was. And when they abolished slavery in Mexico, they decided that anybody that's a slave that steps foot into Mexico would be a free person. Yeah, and a lot of you have heard about the Northern Underground Railroad. And very few of you know that in the South, people were being funneled through Texas through another Underground Railroad into Mexico, right? And Mexico allowed a whole lot of Afro-Mexicans to establish cities, and man, they owned shops, they had whole careers. They were not treated as slaves. They were treated just like everybody else. There were so many slaves in Mexico that they started to actually contribute to the DNA, right? If you look today at what the Mexican people are made up of, you'll find that they're predominantly European, almost 70%. They are 30% indigenous, and they're 4% African American. And this is because the Mexican people were not very racist at all, especially back then. They were very, very accepting of all peoples, right? And so you had a whole bunch of people that contributed to creating the Mexican people, right? Funny thing is, though, even though the Mexican people are about 30% indigenous, there is not a reservation. There's not a Native American reservation in the country that will let Mexicans just walk on there and become parts of the tribe because they claim to be indigenous. But because the fact is, they are almost 70% European. And so the Native Americans do not accept them as indigenous people. The Mexican people had a very rough beginning, and they were created through Spanish slavery. The Spanish slave trade literally created a whole race of people and replaced a population of indigenous people that were already there. Hey, peace and love. I'm out.